Welcome to One for the Money, the weekly talk show with interviews you can use. I'm national financial columnist and talk show host, Steve Savant. And on today's show, Women in Money. A major shift in our culture is women working full-time, but more importantly, women controlling the purse strings of America. Women becoming wealthy, especially women inheriting the largest transfer of wealth in history. Today, we're going to address the money matters that matter most to women. And to help us understand all that is women in money and the unique challenges women face in our culture, the founder and host of Financially Wise Women, right from Los Angeles, Brittany Castro, certified financial planner, all here on One for the Money. Well, welcome to the show, Brittany.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you, and I have to say, I am looking at the next generation of certified financial planners. I mean, to have somebody in the millennial generation on our show is kind of exciting.
Yes.
I mean, and not only that, but not only is Brittany the next generation coming up, but she has an ebook out. And this ebook is great. It's the 9 Steps to Becoming Financially Wise Women. And this is a great little boilerplate. If you've said, man, I need a track to run on. Yeah. I need kind of a basic plan. What is Brittany all about? Well, she's all about helping women become financially wise. Because, as I've said many times on this show, a man is not a plan.
Great tagline.
I love that line. I didn't write it, and I wish I did. Brittany, I have to say, I'm looking at your resume, and one of the best parts about your story is your early childhood. And this really makes me start to think that people that are watching our show today actually should do what you did for their children.
Yes.
I read her resume, and you were playing with your cash register, the little toy cash registers.
Yes.
Your Monopoly money. I mean, you already were having your own fake checkbook when you were a little girl. You already had a fascination for money. How did that happen?
I have no idea how it happened. I mean, clearly, look, my parents bought me the toys, but I just loved it. I mean, I would balance my checkbook. I'd write fake checks all the time. Loved my cash register. But I think, you know, just playing with those toys, I, at a very young age, not knowing, of course, was identifying with money very early on. You know, how to organize it, how to think about it, how to view it, touch it, you know, feel it, all of those things that I think sometimes nowadays is lost with children, right?
Well, isn't it true? I mean, I think you got your first credit card when you were 16.
Yes.
Now talk a little bit about that, because usually I have children.
Right.
I handed them a credit card with major fear. You know, so how was it for you at 16 having a credit card?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of that was my dad was really straightforward, and both him and my mom said, look, we want to give you this credit card to help you build credit, because that's really important, and they knew that, and you're going to only use it for gas, and we're going to make sure that you pay it off every month, because I had a job. I mean, I worked all throughout high school, but my dad was also very aware of what that credit card was for, because you know, I was 16, I was in high school, I was like, great, this sounds fun. But their help and their guidance just on that basic level of have a credit card, pay it off every month, I mean, it was perfect experience at that time in high school.
What about women with credit cards now? I mean, a lot of people, single gals, people coming out of divorces, older women whose husbands have passed on. A lot of this, in our old way of doing culture, from a financial point of view, we did not, I mean, really, it wasn't in their name. Now all of a sudden we're trying to move into it where women are treated equally, and one of the equal places are credit cards. I mean, that to me is a real issue.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's equal in a lot of areas, but I think credit cards, especially for both men and women, it's still a very sticky subject and confusing area. We know what we should be doing with our, you know, we know we shouldn't buy more than, you know, we can afford every month, but it's that very quick and easy swipe, and now we don't even need the credit card. It's all through PayPal or online. You just click, 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 right? So it's a very emotional thing these days, and I think that's where we need to shift our awareness into, is figuring out what is that emotional roadblock or that emotional drive forcing us to use our credit card more than we should.
You know, they're marketing to our soul all the time. These advertisers got us down on demographics. I noticed in your book, in your ebook, Financially Wise Women, that one of your first things is to know where you've come from financially. And a lot of people, a lot of women really don't know if they have a history.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
they've never thought about it.
They never thought about
No.
it. So when you think about that, how critical is it to go forward, kind of understanding where you came from in your past?
It's so important. I mean, I didn't even know, like when I first started my career as a financial advisor, I didn't really know my money history until I started to do the work and really dig and figure out, oh my gosh, reviewing your past experiences with money is so important. You know, reviewing how your parents thought about money. What were they saying in the household? Did they say things like, we don't have enough money, or money is the root of all evil? Or were they coming from a positive perspective and mindset saying like, oh, we have money for that, or, you know, money's great and we could use it to support the life that we want. And taking that time, women especially, what I find is the women that I work with, to review their money story, their money history, is such an eye-opener, because all of a sudden all these red flags go off, or these light bulbs go off, and we're like, oh, maybe that's why I'm overspending, right? Or hoarding my money, or penny pinching because of the way my parents were doing things, or the past experience I had in high school with money. So it is really a big eye-opener.
Well, it's really astonishing to me, because I don't really see men reviewing their history like that or looking at their past. And if this is a really good way to move on to the future, I have to kind of deal with my past, understand my belief systems, kind of get a handle on my value system, and then from that past, from my understanding of that, then I can kind of move forward and start to do what I say, what you've actually coined is financially wise moves. And that's what we're into. When we come back, we're going to talk more about money management and how women manage money, and how Brittany actually figured this out at such a young age. We'll be right back after the break.
Did you know the average 401k runs out of money just 7 to 8 years into retirement? Time Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, and many other publications have warned of the difficulty of saving with a 401k. But what if there was a way to create tax-free lifetime retirement income with no stock market risk? Good news, there is.
You know, living in fear of the next market dive is not the way I want to live my life.
Why would I go out there and take on risk when I don't need to?
I have a lot less stress knowing I can't lose any more of my retirement savings in the stock market.
Call now to receive your free, no-obligation analysis of what this retirement vehicle could do for you, a comparison to your current retirement plan, and a free video that explains this exciting opportunity. Start planning a retirement you can enjoy instead of worrying about future tax increases and stock market losses. Creating income that will last your entire life is the most important thing you'll ever do. Take control of your future. Call now for your free analysis, comparison, and video.
Well, welcome back for our Two for the Show segment. And of course, we're with certified financial planner Brittany Castro, and I have to say, from the millennial generation, this is a whole new perspective. I usually interview people that are twice your age and have been around in this business for a long time, and you have a handle on this. Out on the web, I watched a lot of your YouTube and so forth, the way you approach it, and the predominant part of your practice is women. I mean, in fact, did I get this right? The only time you actually have male clients is generally because they're related to the gals you're already with. As it goes, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at your step 2 in your book.
Yes.
Right? And when I look at this, I'm looking at, we said about the first segment, the past, kind of knowing where you are to build your values. But now we have to kind of get up to speed. What's going on today?
Right.
Your current view. And I'm looking at all these things, from credit score to income to expenses to insurance coverage. All these things seem to be alien to a lot of women, especially when they're coming out of male relationships, divorce relationships. Maybe they're older now, they're single, they've never been married, or especially the big one, women who are now inheriting. And by the way, I just want to say this, the World War II and Korean veterans are almost all gone. Their wives have all the money now, and they're living in long-term care facilities, and they're being taken care of by their baby boomer daughters.
Yeah,
now think about that. And just to really, to show you, this is where America's going. The purse strings, the transfer has transferred from men to women. This is all happening right now.
It's happened.
So we want to prep gals, because they're going to be controlling the wealth of America. So when you look at all these things, they're going to be giving you a budget. And maybe it's not pretty, right? I mean, there may not be any cash flow.
Right, right.
So talk a little bit about your second step.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the second step is just know where you're going, right? So, you know, once we kind of look at the past, okay, we do some work there to uncover any subconscious beliefs and work through those, then we have to have a clear vision on the future. And I think for women in particular, it's really important for us to really honor our own vision, right? Because so many women, and I'm guilty of it, we live in this should mindset. Well, I should do this, right? I should do that. And I think that weighs heavily on women more so than men. And a lot of the clients that I work with, it's like, well, should you take that job? It doesn't sound like you want it. Should you save for the home down payment? Because it doesn't sound like you really care about having a home.
Do you think women are more expressive about that, and that's why you can pick it off easier?
Yeah, they're way more expressive, and they're eager to learn. And I think then because of that, then the work really becomes, okay, getting really clear on your own vision, right? Like tuning out all this noise of how things used to be.
I like the way you just said that, because in your third step, you talk about achieving financial goals. And do we know what financial goals we want to achieve? I mean, I think guys generally are way more bravado. I mean, you know, they're way out there boasting about what they want to achieve. I think women are much more practical. You think that's true?
Yeah. And I definitely think, men for men, it's like kind of like that power and status, you know, make a lot of money, have the home, the nice car, because that's, you know, part of how they are, how our society views them, right? Women, it's like, okay, I want to achieve things in my life, but I'm not really sure what those goals are. And I think that's where we have to do some work and figure out, okay, what are meaningful financial goals for you? And then what does that mean in your current financial life? How do we start setting up a system so you can automatically save for those goals?
Do you think you have to introduce women to goals? Maybe they're not really, they don't know what they're supposed to achieve.
Yeah, sometimes, and women, we like to feel that we're normal. Is it normal to start saving for a home down payment at this age? Is it normal to start thinking about like my kids' college education? I mean, sometimes women are like, I want to start saving for my kids' college education, and they don't have any kids yet. Like they're almost like too proactive. So we know of all these goals that we have to do, but we're still not very clear on which ones are really best for us.
Well, actually, that segues into your step 4, because you're talking about mastering your cash flow. Of course, if you don't have any cash flow, then you can't worry about children's education. You can't worry about putting money down on a home. So we have to establish some kind of working budget, a practical working and achievable goals. You know, we just came off New Year's resolutions, and people make a ton of them, especially getting out of debt, getting money saved for retirement, and about 4 weeks out, it's over. When you're talking about mastering cash flow, talk a little bit about that, because that to me is a major issue, because we can't do anything until we get some cash flow.
And I always say it's not much about how much you make, it's about how much you keep, right? And so becoming a master of your cash flow is developing a spending plan that works for your life and that is in alignment with those goals that you've said you wanted to achieve in your financial life. So that's really just identifying income coming in and all your expenses going out. And it's the hardest thing to do. Like, I don't care how much money you make, I see it all over the spectrum. It is so hard because, again, it's an emotional thing. So I like to take emotion out of it and really help clients automate most of their cash flow. So automate your bill pay, automate your savings. Then at the end of the month, after you automate those things, all you have to do is spend. So then you could do some guilt-free spending and you're okay. But you have to be clear. You have to be clear on all those numbers, so it takes some work.
Well, guilt-free spending, that's my name and my game. When we come back, we're going to go to our third section when we talk about getting ready, number 3, and we're talking about prepping and understanding how to play with money and women right after the break.
Did you know the average 401k runs out of money just 7 to 8 years into retirement? Time Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, and many other publications have warned of the difficulty of saving with a 401k. But what if there was a way to create tax-free lifetime retirement income with no stock market risk? Good news, there is.
You know, living in fear of the next market dive is not the way I want to live my life.
Why would I go out there and take on risk when I don't need to?
I have a lot less stress knowing I can't lose any more of my retirement savings in the stock market.
Call now to receive your free, no-obligation analysis of what this retirement vehicle could do for you, a comparison to your current retirement plan, and a free video that explains this exciting opportunity. Start planning a retirement you can enjoy instead of worrying about future tax increases and stock market losses. Creating income that will last your entire life is the most important thing you'll ever do. Take control of your future. Call now for your free analysis, comparison, and video.
In our 3 to Get Ready segment, we're trying to learn how to prepare to do all this. And of course, we're with Brittany Castro, certified financial planner out of LA. And you're walking us through some of these things. Again, we're in step 5 of her book. And if you want it, again, we'll give it to you. If absolutely free, her ebook is great.
Thank you.
I'm looking at this. I love this idea. When I think about the low interest rate environment today, especially,
Yes.
and how my money markets, my CDs are doing pathetic. And I see people saying, I might as well put my cash in a mattress. It's not going to make that much less. But I loved one of your lines here that you want not a mattress, but maybe a little cash cushion.
Yes.
I like the difference because a mattress seems to be big, but I just need a little cushion. Talk a little bit about what you think is a legitimate timeline. How much money should I have as a cash cushion to cover my expenses?
Right.
And probably a little emergency fund in there as well.
Right. Yeah, I believe we all need a cash cushion of at least 3 to 6 months worth of our core expenses. And the reason why we need cash is for those emergencies or opportunities that always arise in life. And we want to pull from our cash account, our cash cushion, and not pull out the credit card or, charge up something and we feel like we can't pay that off. And especially when we talk later about investing, having cash is also very important because it gives us that staying power so we don't have to tap into our long-term investments.
Now, for people that are just coming into it, let's say, and especially at the beginning of the year, we're always looking at new resolutions. One of them is I'm going to start budgeting, I'm going to start reducing my debt. Let's say I do this. How long does it take to create my emergency fund? Because I think that's where people get discouraged.
Right. And great question. I think it sometimes takes a few years to build that up. I mean, you have to look at your own cash flow, right? That's why you have to become a master of your cash flow and really come up with a realistic plan of building this cash cushion up to the desired level over maybe 1 to 2, sometimes 3 years. So it is a shorter term goal, but it doesn't happen overnight.
I get the idea of having a cash cushion for my expenses, core expenses from 3 to 6 months. But in your step 6, which is the one that I think gets all of us in trouble, is am I prepared for the unexpected? This is off budget. This isn't even on my radar. And all of a sudden I have an expense, maybe a car expense or maybe a hospital expense. All of a sudden I might have an opportunity. One of my children can travel to Europe. It's a great thing, but I don't have the money for it. All these things are unexpected. What do I know I have to get about 3 to 6 months for my emergency cushion. What do I need for this?
Well, I think just for the latter part of that is having the right insurance in place. So as a whole, many of us think like insurance is a big fat waste of money, but it's not, because if there is some sort of bigger event, right, catastrophe, we're going to need that insurance policy to really be there for us. So disability insurance, life insurance, long-term care insurance, health, auto, home, renters, business insurance. I mean, there's lots of insurances that we need, and again, that's just being a smart, financially wise woman and saying, what stage of life am I in, and what protection do I need at this stage?
Well, I have to say, I think women really understand protecting their finances from the unexpected using insurance, as you're suggesting, way better than men do. And I think they want to have the comfort and the security of knowing there's some back here. Talk a little bit about the psychology of this, because why would I buy a product if I don't buy into it from a psychological point of view?
Right. Well, I think you nailed it. Women, we care a little bit more about the protection, the security. We are aware that things do happen in our lives that we didn't plan for. And ultimately, I think it goes back to, cavemen, cavewomen. We're the nurturers, we're the, the gatherers. We like to protect the people we love. And I think with insurance for women, it is a no-brainer. Most women are like, yes, I get it. I know why I want that insurance. I want to protect my children, my spouse, my family, if something bad should happen.
So if I combine my protection for the unexpected, and get myself about 3 to 6 months out on my expenses, get it in cash account. This may take a couple years to do it,
Yeah.
but a methodical and probably steady Eddie parking money aside. Now, of course, we're all assuming that we've now reduced, or we're trying to reduce our debt, we're trying to become more wise. Do you think women overall, when they look at this area, when they're preparing, they're getting past the idea, they're getting cash flow now, they want to be able to prepare for the unexpected. Do you see that as a big part of their front end of their plan and their understanding?
Yeah, I mean, and I always tell women this is like the foundation, right? You know, we need the cash, we need the protection. That's your financial foundation that we all need. So then you can start adding in the other layers, right? The longer term goals that we have, maybe the bigger like fun goals that we have. But
Now, did you map it out that way too? Short-term goals, mid-range goals,
Yes.
long-term goals.
Yeah.
And how many times do you make adjustments on that?
Well, I think at least annually we need to check in, at least. Sometimes, especially for women in the earlier years, 20s, 30s, so much is changing, right?
All the time.
All the time. I mean, life in general, but I think, you know, people go in and out of different jobs, and so there's just tons of transition happening at this stage. And that requires maybe even more. You know, every 6 months we need to be reviewing our goals and seeing if what we have is right.
Well, I think annual reviews are the way to go, and I think women are much more
Yeah, we love
okay with annual goals than men are. When we come back, we're going to talk about our last one, our 4 to goes, our next steps on financially sound thinking.
Did you know the average 401k runs out of money just 7 to 8 years into retirement? Time Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, and many other publications have warned of the difficulty of saving with a 401k. But what if there was a way to create tax-free lifetime retirement income with no stock market risk? Good news, there is.
You know, living in fear of the next market dive is not the way I want to live my life.
Why would I go out there and take on risk when I don't need to?
I have a lot less stress knowing I can't lose any more of my retirement savings in the stock market.
Call now to receive your free, no-obligation analysis of what this retirement vehicle could do for you, a comparison to your current retirement plan, and a free video that explains this exciting opportunity. Start planning a retirement you can enjoy instead of worrying about future tax increases and stock market losses. Creating income that will last your entire life is the most important thing you'll ever do. Take control of your future. Call now for your free analysis, comparison, and video.
Well, welcome back in our 4 to go segment. We're going to talk about next steps, and of course we're with Brittany. Brittany, you're helping us understand what is important to women. These are the things that matter to women. Now, we're not talking about the way guys say it. This is not the testosterone zone today.
Yeah.
We are in the pink nation, and we are trying to think on how women become financially wise. And I'm looking at this, you really are into basic cash flow savings, and you go out of your way in one of your steps in your book to talk about compounded interest. You're in love with this. I guess you like Einstein, right? You know, because remember Einstein said the most wonderful thing he ever discovered was compounding interest over time. So talk a little bit about that, because it's a really big part of your mantra.
I love compounding interest. I feel like it's you know, the eighth wonder of the world that many of us really have never actually learned what it means, but once we do learn what compounding interest really does for our money over time, it's like, why wouldn't we be investing more? But you know, for those people who don't know, compounding interest is just investing in different vehicles that not only grow your original investment, but also the gains on that investment. So over time, it just obviously elevates your money.
Well, I'm looking at some of these charts that we have right up here called Accumulating $1 Million, and it shows different time periods, different durations, different interest rates or earning rates. And you will be surprised, as I am, what little $100 could do if you could just do it for 40 years.
Right. It seems almost too easy, right?
Well, actually, it's so hard because we have unexpected things that come up. We overspend. But if we can get this idea of paying ourselves first, and I think women actually get this more than men.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they get it more than men, but I just know women love a plan and they love strategy. So once you inform them of the plan, the strategy, why we're doing the things that we're doing, they're all on board.
Wow. And
paying yourself first, again, it's just set up your life, your financial life, so it's automated. You don't even think about it. You're just automatically sending over $50, $100 into your investment account every month.
Dollar cost averaging, getting that
Dollar
up and out of
cost
the way.
averaging, and then as you go through life, you increase it. Every year you should try to increase it.
Now, one of your steps late in your ebook is about getting to know taxes, and I'm thinking like, wow, taxes. I mean,
I know,
I don't really
the
think women are
nitty-gritty.
really into taxes. Men aren't into taxes.
No one is.
What do they have to know, though, to play?
The basics. Just like anything, we don't need to know all the complex tax code. We're not CPAs or anything like that, but you need to know at least the basics so you can be informed over some tax strategies that maybe you're not doing, right? So know how your accounts are taxed, know where you can defer money if you need to for tax purposes, know how to create tax-free income in the future. I mean, just the basics so you can be aware and then go out and ask for professionals to help you,
I don't think
implement
it would take too much. I mean, with all the great software out there being
yeah.
taxed, I kind of give you an education. What's ordinary income? What's capital gain? What's tax exempt, tax deduction, tax credits? There are a lot of basic sheets that'll do this. But I also like in your book, you talk about, and I think this is totally a woman, I can't imagine guys building a support group for their finance. I just can't imagine it.
You should.
I think we should, but I just can't imagine guys bringing to the table, in honesty, by the way,
Okay, right.
anything about their money. Talk a little bit about how important it is, because I've seen female women's clubs, investment clubs, they're all over the internet.
Oh,
so this is already happening. But talk about the support, because it really helps people really focus on their money when they have other people in the same boat and they're all trying to pull each other together.
Right. I think women learn better as a group. I think, again, we want to feel like we're not alone. We always, I do this all the time. Is this normal? Do you experience this? We ask
Why
each
is that
other
question
that.
so important, though?
Because we're the gatherers. We like to have that connection with each
But
other.
why normal? Why do you need a plumb line to see, am I off the bell curve?
Because we just like to keep it in check that way. It's just, I think, how we process information to feel like, am I just the only one experiencing this? And that's why our support group, especially when it comes to money, which is such the taboo subject still, nobody talks about it. It's critical for women. I mean, we talk about everything else together. Why not start talking about money? And we don't even have to get into the nitty-gritty of it if you're not comfortable sharing everything about your financial life. You can just build a support group to say, hey, let's learn together. Let's support one another in our learning of this financial world so we can, learn what we need to become financially wise.
Well, now, when I talk about a support group, we're talking about other women involved, but how about professionals? Do you ever bring professionals into this to try to insert their thinking?
Perfect. Yeah, it's critical, right? We can't know everything about everything. I don't know everything about, health, so I need to look for health experts to inform me of updates. So having the right professionals on your team is absolutely critical as well. And I think, again, that just comes down to finding somebody who you can relate to, you feel comfortable with, you can trust. Ultimately, any professional, CPA, certified financial planner, business coach, attorney, whoever you're working with in your life, you want to make sure you can ask that person questions and never feel judged.
Wow. Well, never feel judged. That'll be a big one. Well, I want to thank you for being on our show.
Thank you.
Those are the next steps to financial wisdom and to put money on the table. When we come back next week, we're going to talk more about some of the things that can really help you with your money. We have the educational tools to help your learning experience, and we've partnered with financial professionals who recognize the unique challenges to women. For more information on how you can be financially wise and start saving money, just go out to our show's website at www.oneforthemoney.tv. And remember, you can follow me on Twitter and visit me on any of my social media network sites, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+. That's One for the Money.